The last thing you see is the sky. Not the whole sky. A narrow slice of it, gray and heaving between walls of green water. Your arms are moving, but they're not swimming anymore. They're just moving. The cold has taken your coordination. The Mediterranean in a storm is not water. It's a machine. It pulls you under, spits you up, pulls you under again. The sailors threw you overboard 9 seconds ago. You told them to do it. That part people forget. You didn't fall. You weren't pushed. You stood on the deck of a Phoenician trade vessel, a ship you paid full fare to board in Joppa, and you told the crew to pick you up and hurl you into the sea. You gave the order for your own death, and they did it. The storm had been building for hours. Not a normal Mediterranean squall. This was vertical rain, on waves crashing from directions that didn't make geographic sense. The sailors, Phoenicians, the best deep-water mariners in the ancient world, were terrified. These are men who navigate by the stars from Tyre to Tarshish, 2,500 miles across open water, and they were crying out to gods they'd never spoken to before. You were below deck, asleep. That detail matters. The ship is breaking apart, the cargo's been thrown overboard, experienced sailors are weeping, and you're unconscious in the hold. The captain had to come down and shake you awake, a pagan captain asking a Hebrew prophet to pray. You already knew why the storm was there. 3 days earlier, the word of the Lord came to you in your home. Go to Nineveh. Preach against it. Nineveh, the capital of the Assyrian Empire, 550 miles northeast, home to the people who skinned their enemies alive and stacked the skulls of children outside conquered cities. The Assyrians didn't just defeat nations, they erased them. And God wanted you to walk into the center of that empire and deliver a message. You went to the docks instead, bought passage in the opposite direction. Tarshish, the edge of the known world, modern-day Spain, as far from Nineveh as a ship could carry you. Now you're in the water and the storm is still raging and your lungs are filling and the darkness below is rising to meet you. Then something moves, not a wave, not a current, something with mass, something with intention. The water around you shifts in a way that water doesn't shift. There is a pressure, a displacement, an awareness. Your body registers it before your mind does. Something enormous is ascending from beneath you. The mouth opens. No teeth. That's the first thing you process, if you process anything at all. A baleen whale's mouth is not what you imagine. It's not a jaw full of fangs. It's a cavern, a wet, ridged, expanding darkness that doesn't bite, it engulfs. The opening is wide enough to swallow a rowboat. The tongue alone weighs close to 3 tons. You don't swim into it. You're taken. Water rushes in and you rush in with it. There's no fighting this. The force is hydraulic. You tumble forward through a space that is slick and muscular and alive, a tunnel of flesh that contracts around you like the sea itself has a throat. Then the mouth closes and the world ends. Not your life, the world. Every reference point you've ever used to understand where you are, light, horizon, ground, sky, gone. The darkness is absolute, not nighttime dark, not cave dark. This is a darkness that has texture. It's warm and wet, and it presses against your skin from every direction. The smell hits next. Digestive enzymes, partially broken down krill, salt, bile. The air, and there is air, pockets of it trapped between folds of tissue, is humid and acidic and heavy with the smell of a living stomach. You're breathing, but each breath burns slightly. The mucus lining the walls is alkaline enough to irritate your skin, not enough to dissolve you, enough to remind you constantly that you are inside a digestive system, and the digestive system is working. You can't stand. The floor, if you can call it a floor, is a shifting surface of muscle and membrane. It moves. It contracts. You brace yourself against a wall, and the wall pushes back. The whale is alive, and you are aware of its aliveness in a way that no human being was designed to comprehend. You feel its heartbeat, one beat every 10 seconds. Deep, percussive. It vibrates through the tissue and into your bones. You are 3 days from rescue. You don't know that yet. The first hours are panic, pure animal panic. You claw at walls that give but don't tear. You scream and the sound doesn't travel. It's absorbed by the soft tissue around you. There is no echo. Your voice dies 2 feet from your mouth. That silence is worse than the dark. At least in the dark you can imagine space. In silence you are sealed. Your skin starts to change. The gastric fluid is weak. This is not a stomach designed to digest a human. But it's persistent. A low-grade chemical burn, constant and everywhere. Your hands, your arms, your face. The irritation is maddening. You can't wash it off. There's nothing to wash with. You rub your skin against the walls, and the walls are coated with the same fluid. Time collapses. There is no day, no night, no position of the sun, no changing of the watch. You have no way to measure whether you've been here 6 hours or 60. The whale dives and you feel the pressure shift. It surfaces and you feel a slight decompression. That rhythm, dive, surface, dive, becomes your only clock. But whales in the Mediterranean can dive for 15 minutes and surface for 8 seconds. The intervals are not regular. Your clock is broken. You stop screaming. Not because you've made peace with anything, because your throat is raw and no one can hear you, and the energy it takes to scream is energy you don't have. You haven't eaten. You won't eat. There is water, condensation on the walls, mixed with mucus. But drinking it makes your stomach revolt. Somewhere in the darkness, you start to pray. Not the way you prayed before. Before, you were a prophet, a professional. Prayer was part of the job description, structured, liturgical, proper. The kind of prayer that comes from a man who speaks for God and has opinions about how God should run things. This prayer comes from the floor of a whale's stomach. It comes from a man lying in biological fluid in complete darkness, dehydrated and chemically burned and unable to tell which direction is up. You quote the Psalms, not because you choose to, because they are the only words left in you. The water closed over my head. The deep surrounded me. Seaweed wrapped around my skull. The words come out broken and hoarse and mixed with bile. This is not a beautiful spiritual moment. This is a man at absolute zero using the last words he has. You think about Nineveh. You think about why you ran. It wasn't fear. That's what everyone assumes, but they're wrong. You weren't afraid of the Assyrians. You were afraid God would forgive them. You knew that if you went to Nineveh and preached and they repented, God would relent. He would show mercy to the people who had butchered your neighbors, who had dragged Israelites behind horses and impaled them on stakes outside their own cities. You ran because you couldn't stomach grace. You ran because the thought of God's compassion reaching the men who burned children alive made you want to die. And that's not a metaphor. Later, after all of this is over, after Nineveh repents and God spares them, you'll sit outside the city and ask God to kill you. You'll say the words out loud. Take my life. I'd rather die. But that's later. Right now you're in the belly of something that breathes and moves and dives, and you are alone with the God you tried to outrun, and there is nowhere left to go. The whale doesn't know you're there. Its nervous system doesn't register a 160-pound object in its stomach as a threat. You are debris. You are bycatch. You are a minor irritant in the gut of an animal that swallows 500 kilograms of food per day, 72 hours. That's how long you're in here. 3 full days, 3 full nights. Though the words day and night mean nothing in this place, You sleep in intervals, curled against a wall of living tissue, waking when the whale dives too deep and the pressure makes your ears scream. And then the contractions start. The muscles around you shift. The space tightens. The whale's body is rejecting you, not violently, but deliberately. A deep, rolling peristaltic wave moves through the tissue and moves you with it. You're pushed upward or forward, you can't tell. The passage narrows and then opens and narrows again, and you are being moved through a space you don't understand toward an exit you can't see. Light. For the first time in 3 days, light. It's blinding, physically painful. Your eyes have adjusted to total darkness, and now the sky is a white explosion that makes your pupils contract so hard it feels like a migraine. You're expelled onto a beach, wet, covered in mucus and bile, skin red and peeling, half blind, barely able to stand. You lie on the sand, and the waves wash over your legs, and the air, open or salted, infinite, fills your lungs, and it's the most violent breath you've ever taken. You're alive, and God says it again. Go to Nineveh. This time you go, not because you've been convinced, not because you've had a change of heart, not because 3 days in the belly of a fish taught you a beautiful lesson about obedience. You go because there is nowhere else to run.